I met a gypsy.
Like there's this grand conspiracy among motocross that the Coombs family rakes in hundreds of millions of dollars every time at Loretta's, and it's this like gate kept like Illuminati It's like, boys, come on. They put on the fucking biggest race. They're like, after also, I'll say this on the topic, after going to Loretta's last year, you couldn't pay me $1 million to do what you guys do at that race. Yeah. But there is this whole, the OEMs and the child stars and they're doing this, and it's this is sport, and there is a potential that like Jet Lawrence probably make $100 million in his career. Like if the track if the graph keeps going the way it's going to go, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got the potential. Even Dunge, the 10-year career, made millions, tens of millions of dollars. Now never has to do anything again, right? When you have the potentiality of that being an outcome in your child's life or your own life, and you give up everything to pursue that dream, that comes with huge sacrifices. And when there's other people that have a shot at that same dream, comes with the same sacrifices. And then you've got a place where everyone, like the reason your dad made Lorretta Lynn's, like that's why people go there. Like it's the idea, it's the concept, it's the thing, it's the proving grounds, and it's like build it and they will come. There's not some like backwards reverse conspiracy where like, we're going to make all this money. That idea is the thing that has turned into what it is.
And you know, back to what I said at the beginning, it really wasn't necessarily his idea, pure and simple. There were big amateur races. There was Ron Hendrickson in the World Mini Grand Prix.
There was Ponca.
There was Ponca City. There was the Minios. But what he did was he built an event that was as even a playing field as he could get, where you know, once you got there, you didn't have to qualify again. You were limited to the amount of classes you could have because it was going to be a real race. Long motos, 3 motos. It wasn't going to have all the pressure of Yamaha runoffs like they used to have at Ponca or, and the one thing, if I really ever wanted to make a whole bunch of money, we would rent Loretta Lynn's out. But we don't. Yeah. We don't. Yeah. We have this one motorcycle race followed by this one ATV race, and that's it. There's no amount of money that can get American Honda or KTM or the KTM group or Stark or anybody to rent that track to have a race or to have a practice or to have anything.
Testing.
It's nothing. It stays that way because the people put their faith in the concept that they have just as good of a shot. We can't help them with what size their rig is. We can't help them with how good their bike is. We can't help them with anything other than here is an opportunity to be one of the 42 best riders in your class. And if you win, or if you get second, or if you acquit yourself well, there might be even more. There might be another step. And that step is completely different from this step. And for a lot of people, Loretta Lynn's is as far as you're going to get.
Yeah.
And by that, I think that only realistically a fraction of the people who line up on that gate are there because they think that there's more, or they have just. Yeah. For a lot of people, that's as big as it gets,
and that's amazing. Yeah. Like me going there for the first time, like it made me want to get a bib, and
And I wouldn't give you a bib.
100. That's what I was about to say. Like
there's no shortcuts.
I can't get that unless I do the thing. Yeah. So people have invested in the idea. Mm-hmm. People believe in the concept. Like that's why that race is as big as it is. And you didn't put the expectation on that race. You didn't, like, all of the things externally that come with it are a result of how good that idea is. Mm-hmm. And I think going forwards, like there's people that have had careers that never raced Loretta's. Mm-hmm. I think there was probably a period of time in the sport's history where, and especially in like the amateur program, where everything was based on that race. It was the easiest and the best guide to who was the man at that time. And historically, it worked out. Ricky Carmichael did quite well there. Travis Pastrana did quite well there. James Stewart did quite well. But then things started changing. Ryan Dungey never did that well at Loretta's. Ryan Villopoto never did.
Neither of the Martin brothers ever won.
So it's changed over the years, and going forward, it might get less and less meaningful in terms of who gets rides or whatever it is. But again, that's not the concept. That's not what you guys wanted. Like, you guys didn't build that to be this place where the industry eyeball focused in, like the our eye of Sauron, and it just focused in and picked this talent. None of that. That's all external of you guys, And I feel like there's a bad rap out there at times based on stuff that you guys have nothing to do with.
We put ourselves in the spotlight by simply being there, by
having that event.
by continuing this event with the foundational concepts that my dad had, even playing field, neutral motocross track,
qualify to get in,
drawing numbers out of a bucket. It's the most terrifying thing out of any amateur racing career is not whether or not you can huck the triples. It's when you reach in that bucket on Tuesday at Lorretta Lynn's and what number you pull out. And we do that because the track is new every year. It's basically the same, but it sets up differently. We don't want kids to go out there and think they got to blitz hot laps to get the best time. We don't want to put any more pressure than there already is. So and I get parents all the time saying, "Man, why can't you do time practice? My kid drew a 41." And it's like, I'm sorry, but Adam Cincerilla drew a 39 and a 42 his last year. It worked out.
Yeah.
My point is that we don't exploit it. There is no other Loretta Lynn's. We're not in the amateur national business. We have this one race. We have the RCSX, which is a totally different kind of race, a totally different vibe and feel. And the concept for that came up between Ricky and I after he retired. He's like, "What am I going to do now?" He wants to keep a boot in motocross, and he thought he was going to NASCAR. What better way to do it than to have the Ricky Carmichael Supercross at Daytona?
Yeah.
That was the whole...
It's his house.
It's the whole concept.
Yeah.
And now it's turned into this big, important event, but it's not the end all. It's not cutthroat. It's the first race of that very busy amateur season. But instead of having a Loretta Lynn's in the spring, a Loretta Lynn's in the middle, we've kept it special. We've kept it unique. And because of that, it remains important and valuable. And it also has that credibility amongst the people who once went or who are going now or who someday aspire to.
Yeah.
They know what they're in for. And they know that is a huge accomplishment in itself.
Yes.
And that's why we keep it going. Every year I have someone ask me or tell me that they heard this is the last Loretta Lynn's, especially since, Loretta unfortunately passed away. The manager of the ranch, Anthony Bruto, his father's from Morgantown, West Virginia, an off-road racer who went to the ranch to work in the early 80s with my dad.
No
met
way.
Patsy Lynn, married Patsy Lynn.
No.
And the ranch manager, 44 years later, from this whole thing.
That ain't ever leaving.
No, he's a moto guy.
Yeah.
And does GNCCs and so we're not going anywhere. But there's not going to be two.
Yeah.
We're not going to exploit it. We're just going to keep doing this for as long as we can because it's an important part of this carousel.
Oh, man. And I didn't feel the gravity of it until I went there. Like, dude, I was there walking around in me Crocs and wore the same pants the same shorts for 4 days in a row. And I was there in the mud and I was there in the heat and the experience. And K-Dub came in and Weege come in and Big James was there and Malcolm was there and Dunge was there and like Nate Ramsey. And I spent the whole week. I hadn't been to America in 5 years. And then I went to Washougal and flew to Wes's place in Idaho, stayed there for a few days, and I had zero plans to go to Loretta's. And then he's like, "Well, where are you going now?" I was like, "Oh, I'll go to California. I'll start getting the studio sorted and blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Bro, you got to go to Loretta's." Booked my flight, and I got there and I was like, I get it. Because it's not just for the kids. It's for the families.
Yeah.
It's for the parents. It's for the Chris Kiefers. It's for the Mike Browns. It's for the Jeff Emmigs. It's like it's a big deal, and it's still a thing to like aspire to. It's like something you have to work real hard at. There's so many different levels at which that's an important race, and like Roger Larson was there, and Lil D was there, and it's almost a pilgrimage.
It's a rite of passage.
That you go and you spend the time. That's where, and it seems like a very like a convergence of the pro and the amateur world as well, that a lot of other places don't have as much, like you see so much mixing of everybody that it's a very special place.
Yeah, it is incredibly unique because it's, we're going on fourth generation, whether you once raced or you aspired to race or you worked in the industry or you had a brother or sister who were there. It's a special place. It's our Little League World Series. It's our reunion. It's our homecoming. It's our biggest stage where everyone still has a shot.
Yeah.
It's hard to put into words what it means to me personally, but my mom, my brother and sister and I, we're so proud of it.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.